This is a good video? Good.
No cool intro, no fancy music. I just want to explain inflation in 6 minutes. I have a degree in economics. I spent years trying to understand this. So let's see if I can boil it down. What is inflation? Why is it rising? Why are people worried? And what do interest rates have to do with
The
this?
Federal Reserve is raising the interest rate
to raise interest
Oh my god, my brain, ow!
In 40 years.
Listen, I know that I make long videos. I'm into nuance, I'm into backstory. Well, this isn't that. This is quick. No, really, this is quick.
Then
Let's
go then. Okay, go.
Wait, rewind. Hold on 1 second. Before we start the timer, I need to tell you that I was going to do an ad read in the middle of the explanation. Like I was going to stop the explanation and do an ad read. But I realized I want this to be an uninterrupted 6-minute explanation. So I'll even take out the YouTube ads that are on it so that it can be uninterrupted. But for now, I need to thank today's sponsor because it's literally my job. It's how I get paid. Thank you, BetterHelp, for supporting this video and my channel generally. BetterHelp
Isn't
is
BetterHelp some
customized
mental health
online
thing?
therapy that offers video, phone, or even live chat
I'll
sessions.
let the ad play then.
So you don't have to see anyone on camera.
What? I'll let it play, man.
Therapy is a
Why, is
giant
it bad?
part of my life. Been doing it for several years now, and I believe in it. But I know that finding a therapist is hard and cumbersome, and BetterHelp is trying to change that. It's all on the internet. All you have to do is take a quiz, and they link you up with a therapist.
It's a scamaz. Oh god.
They have a giant network of over 20,000 licensed therapists. You can be talking to someone in like 40. So join off your first month.
Okay,
and go see a therapist.
get the bag king. Next.
The ad is over. Let's start the clock up again and see if I can do this explanation in 6 minutes. Here we go. Okay, first up, the simplest definition. Inflation is when there is more money in the economy than stuff to spend it on. But if you're like me, the simplest definition never does it for you. So let's try this.
Yeah,
Imagine
I don't get that.
a village that has one market where people buy all of their stuff, their food, their clothes. But one day the government shows up because they're worried about the economy of this village. So they tell the people that if they want to take out a loan, they're going to make sure that the banks will not charge them a high interest rate. They want to encourage the people to take out loans and spend money. Oh, and they also drop off a giant pile of cash for everyone in the village. And everyone in the village is like, sweet, I'm feeling pretty rich. Villagers now are going to their market and they're buying way more stuff. Many of them have been eyeing the fancy electric bike in the market that before they couldn't justify, but now they totally can because they have all this new money. The store owner's like, sweet, this is great for business, but he's running out of bikes. In fact, he's running out of everything because now all of these people have extra money and they're buying way more than they used to. The store owner's like, I can't keep up with all this demand. I should raise prices. And that is inflation. But the village is all of us.
Wait, I don't get it. Guys, simple explanations are hard because they don't give the underlying stuff behind it. So why doesn't he just upscale since he has more money, why doesn't he just upscale his business instead of raising the prices, buy more stuff to sell, find new sellers, and expand his business to increase supply instead of keeping the same supply and increasing the price?
Raise prices. And that is inflation. But the village is all of us, and the market is the entire economy. When there's extra money floating...
Oh, supply of the raw materials and shit. Okay. So what it means that everything is on low supply then?
around and people want to spend it faster than businesses can make stuff, then all of the businesses in all of the industries raise their prices. And that is inflation. It's a natural part of the economy. It's kind of a good thing in small doses because it means that the economy is growing. And it's why movie tickets used to be 25 cents and now they're like $15. And slowly over time, it's fine. Okay, let's go back to the village and see what happens if we keep going at this rate. The store owner has now doubled his prices on bikes. The interest rate is super low, so he takes out a loan to build a new factory to make bikes. This is good.
Okay.
He's growing a business.
Boom.
But the government money eventually runs out, and his prices are still double. But now the store owner has no one to come buy all of his new bikes. And now he has this factory and more employees, but no customers. He has to shut down the factory, lay off everyone, and slowly start lowering his prices.
Uh-oh.
This is called recession. When COVID shut...
Wait, chat. What if you're rich during recession? Don't you just buy things that people are selling at a loss and you buy all their failures, and when things pick up, you're just you resell it back to them for an increased price and you just ball the fuck out?
down the world, governments gave us money, free money. They're like, don't panic and hoard all your money. Instead, spend and borrow and keep the economy going. Here in the US, they literally sent us $3,200 checks. They gave $600 a week to people who were unemployed for months and months and months. They gave subsidies to people with kids. They increased spending on food stamps. I mean, trillions and trillions of dollars of stimulus money. This was vital aid to people in need. But even people who didn't lose a job got a check in the mail. It was free money for everyone. And we spent it.
I just picked up myself a new bike. Demand is up across the country.
It's time to grind, Peloton.
We all just got these big checks from the government. During a pandemic, we're like, YOLO, I'm buying a boat or a Peloton or whatever.
Pokemon cards.
There's Netflix.
Fortnite.
A new motor.
Peloton.
Soak in a hot tub.
Animal Crossing.
Push it out a little bit so it fits.
No, don't you dare!
But
Don't
pair
you
all
dare
this
do
new
that.
spending with the fact that the pandemic also made it harder for factories and ships and retailers to get us all this stuff.
Supply chain issue.
Global supply chain.
Supply chain.
So now you have an economy where people have way more money than normal and they're ready to spend it, but the economy can't get them stuff fast enough. So what do businesses do with all this insane new demand? They raise
the
prices
prices
all at the same time, and that is inflation. I feel like we're getting this at this point. But what do interest rates have to do with all this?
Raising the interest rate.
Interest rate.
Or the Fed?
The Federal Reserve.
Most
They get the juice out of the ones who can't pay.
countries have a central bank, the puppet master of the economy, the bank of all banks for that country. But it's not like a normal bank that stores our money and then
hold on.
lends it out and collects interest to make profit. That's what a normal
TTS, man. I'm watching a movie, man. Let me watch the
or
thing.
the Fed.
Federal Reserve.
The Federal Reserve.
Most countries
The
have
Federal
a
Reserve.
central bank, the puppet master of the economy, the bank of all banks for that country. But it's not like a normal bank that stores our money and then lends it out and collects interest to make profit. That's what a normal private bank does.
man.
The central bank, which we call the Fed here in the US, is run by the government. So their job is to set the rules or policies that all the other banks have to follow. And the central bank isn't motivated by profit, but rather their job is to babysit the economy, to keep it growing, to make sure people have jobs, to make sure that prices don't fluctuate too much so that we can keep growing nicely. No slowdown, no
Guys,
recession.
you're 12 years old. If you say kappa to what he just said, you guys are saying kappa. Guys, it's not to make profit. What will they spend the money on? It's the foundation. It's like saying you're putting down a platform to stand on, okay? And the guy says, well, the goal of the guy who's on the platform is to make sure that it's stable. You say, cap, dude, if he removes the platform, he falls down. Like, what are you talking about? He falls down.
That is what the Fed is there for. But seriously, the Fed is like a puppet master, and we're the puppets, and it's kind of creepy. They pull strings in the economy to get us to spend our
It's
money.
in their best interest for the platform to stand, because they're standing on it. That's the basis of it, dumb fuck. Yeah, okay.
And that's what the Fed is there for. But seriously, the Fed is like a puppet master, and we're the puppet.
Print money, interest rate, open market operations, reserve requirements. I know what
And
that
it's
is.
kind of creepy. They pull strings in the economy to get us to spend our money in a certain way, which in turn affects how much businesses raise or drop their prices. And guess what? It totally works. One of the strings that they have to pull in the economy is called the interest rate. Want to borrow money to buy a car or a house or expand your business?
Like 2%.
You're going to be way more likely to do that if you
2%,
only
yeah.
pay 2% interest on that
Deadass.
loan as opposed to like 6%. Lower interest rates equal people and businesses want to borrow and spend money. So during the pandemic, the central bank was like, we need everyone to spend money. So they lowered the interest rate and people borrowed and people spent and it totally worked. We're like freaking puppets. So a low interest rate helps stimulate the economy. But once again, we're in this same place where there's now too much money to borrow and spend and not enough goods and services to spend it on. So what do businesses do all at the same time? They raise prices to meet all this new demand all at the same time. And now your money is worth less. And that is inflation.
Home prices rising at their highest
Astronomical bidding wars.
Rents are going up.
By nearly 24%.
So that's what's happening right now. All the prices are rising kind of at the same time. What that means is that your $100 bill is now worth 8% less than it was last year.
Wait,
like the same.
But what if you're already falling behind and the curve is upwards, you're not acclimated to the new slope? Don't you fall even further behind it?
money is worth less because your purchasing power just got diluted. And imagine if that keeps happening. Like instead of 8%, it's 50%. Now your $100 bill is worth what $50 used to be. And that's when people start to freak out. And our economy that's built on human psychology starts to falter and we fall into a recession or a depression even, if it gets real bad, which is exactly what the Fed is built to avoid. So they're back to pulling their strings and they've started raising rates.
The Federal Reserve is raising interest
The
rates.
Federal Reserve taking action to try and curb rising inflation.
They're gently raising.
Hey, they're printing! Hey, I just caught them live.
Taking action to try and
Look, they're printing money. They're printing this shit, man.
curb rising inflation.
They're gently raising the interest rate to cool down all of this
man.
hardcore spending and
just
borrowing.
kidding.
See if they can steer the ship back on course. And let's hope it works.
You're so dumb.
Okay, did we do it? Did we do it in the time period that I promised I would? We'll find out.
I enjoyed that. I understand it now.
Okay, last thing I want to say is a thing that didn't make it into my little inflation explainer. But a few years ago, when I worked at Vox, I went to Venezuela and Colombia to do a Borders series. I saw inflation up close and personal because in Venezuela, inflation was so out of control and they
Guys, isn't that chat the RuneScape meme?
couldn't, the Fed, the puppet master couldn't like figure out how to get it back in control, that their money became worth nothing. The prices went up so high that their money became basically worthless. You needed like a pile of cash to buy bread. So what they started doing is they started using the currency itself to make things. Like I visited this guy on the street who was making like purses and bags and like sculptures out of cash, because it was worth more as a raw material than it was as like money, as a currency, which is insane. That's a very extreme version of inflation. It's happened in several countries that have done this. We're not in that situation, even close to that situation, but it's an example of just
Wait, the bag to keep money, right? Probably doesn't even hold money. Oh my God.
just how tenuous modern economies
Now,
are.
you get
They're
it
not
though?
Pegged to gold or whatever. They're like pegged to
What if you put
a bunch
money
of
in the
humans
bag of money?
believing that this
Think
stuff
about
is
it.
worth something, and it can quickly go off the rails. So I thought I'd share that little fun thing that is more documented in the Vox Borders episode that you can go watch on the Vox YouTube channel. So that's all I've got. Thank you all for being here, and I think you should check out, if you want to color your videos or your photos, I have LUTs and presets that
Man, what the fuck is that, man? I really like 50 Cent, or as we call him in Venezuela, 30 quadrillion bolivares. What the fuck is that meme, dude? What the fuck is that meme, dude?
Venezuela is going through an economic collapse. Unemployment is at an all-time high, minimum wage is $12.53 a month due to massive inflation, and food shortages have become the norm. This desperate situation has led to mounting tensions and chaos in the streets. Caracas, the nation's capital, is now one of the most dangerous places in the world. But it's not as dangerous as the wilderness in RuneScape, where Venezuelans are being hunted down every day. These are just some of the Venezuelans who have resorted to farming gold in RuneScape in order to survive, because the conventional job market is so scarce and unreliable in their country. What these Venezuelans are doing is farming green dragons in the wilderness, which is a PvP area. They farm these dragons because they drop dragon bones and green dragon hides, which they can sell on the
Wait,
grand...
not funny. I think this is actually real, though. I don't think it's joking or anything. I mean, it's made to sound like a joke, but it's actually real.
exchange for gold. By doing this, they can make around 500,000 RuneScape gold an hour, which translates to roughly 50 cents an hour. And while you may think that 50 cents an hour isn't much, it's really not, it is better than poverty. An article by an author named Fizzerman explains why farming is worth it for these Venezuelans. More advanced players will know that repetitively killing the boss Zulra can earn around 3 million gold per hour, which is about $2 to $3 an hour. At $2 to $3 an hour, this would allow a teenager or young adult to make more money by playing a video game than the majority of college-educated professionals in the country. That's right, in Venezuela, you don't need an education. You just need RuneScape. What is amazing is the fact that this digital currency still has much more stability than currencies of socialist third world governments. For the past few years, RuneScape currency has steadily remained at a little over $1 per 1 million gold, while Venezuelan currency is depreciating significantly by the day. It's not just Venezuelans either. Vice reported on an American kid who claims to have made over $10,000 a month by farming gold in RuneScape. There was even this Venezuelan article detailing the farming method and how to make money doing it. And according to this Reddit post, that article angered some gold farmers who reportedly issued death threats and doxed the author of the article since he was potentially creating more competition for the farmers. Gold farmers are nothing new to MMO players. The notorious Chinese gold farmers from World of Warcraft were a huge annoyance to millions of WoW players. Similarly to the Venezuelan...
Guys. People make memes or people forget what it was like, the Chinese gold farmers things back in the days, okay? They got so advanced, I'm not even kidding about this by the way, they got so advanced back in the days that they would create mass accounts from some of these websites. They would go in US servers and they would glitch themselves midair, okay? And make their characters die in a way, right? That it would create a floating ad that leads to a website where they sell the gold in the middle of main cities. I'm not even kidding. It was crazy. It was fucking nuts, dude. You would go and would see orcs in Orgrimmar, right? Right next to the hut, and it would make a floating sign. I had never seen anything like it before. And
Chinese gold
kept
farmers
happening.
would do whatever it took to farm and sell gold in order to make a living in the real world. These gold farmers would often spam advertise in chat channels and obnoxiously message people in order to promote
that was one of the threads that they used.
their gold-selling websites.
G4WAP.
Not only that, but gold farming also impacted the in-game economy. For these reasons, the Chinese gold farmers, much like the Venezuelans, were viewed with disdain by many players. One of the more extreme responses to these Venezuelans was a massive thread on the old-school RuneScape Reddit, which gave a detailed guide on how to disrupt and kill gold farmers. And a lot of the comments on the thread were pretty hateful, and it seems like most people really don't like these gold farmers. I hope you're okay with sending Juan to school with no lunch. It sounds funny, but it could be reality, lol. That's what makes it funny. Loved the part where you explained how to insult them in their native language. 10 out of 10, great guide. I will go commit genocide on those putas and perros. Make sure they suffer IRL financially and psychologically, laughing my fucking ass off. There seems to be some dehumanizing going on in response to these gold farmers.
Hello?
It's sort of an interesting experiment in human psychology. Because these gold farmers speak a foreign language and they might be annoying some players, they're viewed as the other. There's a clear disconnect between players online and the real lives of others behind a computer screen. This has always been a contributing factor as to why people act differently towards each other online, but in this particular scenario, it can actually affect people's livelihoods. Given all of this madness, I decided to contact a Venezuelan player and hear things from his perspective.
Hola.
Hi.
Hola, mira.
Yeah, guys, I could be wrong with this chat, but I think, guys, that the reality of it is that on the WoW servers anyway, it didn't really impact anybody.
One guy equals chat lol.
The people were I never really saw that many farmers. People actually, I know they were selling the gold, but the farmers, not really. Am I wrong?
Sí, bueno, ya sabrás quién es Greg, ¿no?
Okay.
Does he know any people, any other Venezuelans who do it for a job?
Sí hay algunos que trabajan haciendo esto, pero Jade siempre toma su carta en el asunto y siempre les borra su cuenta. Y eso es lo que evitamos muchos venezolanos como yo, por lo menos. Yo lo que hago es divertirme y quiero subir mi PJ de RuneScape y evitar eso. Para evitar eso, evito vender el oro.
Has you ever received a lot of negativity or hate from other players because he's Venezuelan and because he's farming?
Sí, hay algunos países que le tiene rabia a la mayoría de los venezolanos porque piensan que todos juegan para obtener dinero y la mayoría es falso. Pues sí hay algunos que otros, pero no somos todos.
There are RuneScape players who are writing guides on how to kill farmers and specifically Venezuelan farmers. What does he think about that? Does that make him feel sort of targeted in the community?
Ah, sí, ese es por, como te digo, que hay gente que le tiene rabia a los venezolanos que se la pasan más que todo en green porque piensan que están haciendo es dinero y están perjudicando al juego en sí, pues ajá, y entonces piensan que todos los venezolanos son los iguales.
Even between the Venezuelans, there's a lot of competition.
32 months lost in the jungle.
Interesting. This is actually kind of interesting, though.
Que también le tenemos rabia a esos otros venezolanos que porque también nos perjudican.
Nah, guys, I want to make fun of this. Guys, I feel like there's a lot of elements here to deconstruct. And have a lot. You can have a lot of perspective on this. There's so many branches of thought behind this. I feel like it. I mean, it's not. Well, it makes you reconsider what is a game. What is a game? There's terms of service that say that you can't sell gold. Is some people saying gold justified because they're struggling or not? Do you justify this or that? Are you okay with certain? Like, I'm not for anything. I'm not for or against anything. I'm not being weird. I'm just telling you that these are questions that arise from these things. There's no.
As ridiculous as it may sound, clicking on these dragons may be the only source of income for some Venezuelans. But in order to make a profit, these Venezuelans must first sell their gold, and that's where these gold-selling websites come into play. Take the professionals at papusgold.com, for example. They deal in Bitcoin and RuneScape 2007 gold. You know, the next major player on the market. And they even have a listing of all of the employees on the website. These are the starving faces of the hard-working Venezuelan gold farmers. These are the people you're hurting when you mess with them farming green dragons. Just look into their eyes. You have Maucaisius, the CEO. He looks like a hard-working and professional businessman, the brains of the operation. And Kathy looks like she's on the verge of tears, but she's still hanging on. What a brave soul. And we have Jesus. If Venezuela ever needed a miracle from God, now would be the time. And finally, gone. Because if this gold-selling business doesn't work out, all hope is gone.
Jesus Christ.
Venezuela is going through some hard times right now, and for some, farming green dragons in RuneScape is their only means of survival. Behind these pixels are real people with real families dealing with real struggles. Unless they're bots, in which case they're computer programs. But most of these players are real Venezuelans and real people who deserve to be treated as such. So
if they're just playing the game and it's such a mild, small inconvenience for people, I don't
find
really
yourself
see the problem.
playing RuneScape and you just so happen to be in the wilderness seeing players farm green dragons, maybe just leave them alone. You might be saving a life.
Mild, yeah, just this one dragon. Unless
a little PKing never hurt anyone.
Here's my motherfucking bomb! Oh yeah!
Get him!
Oh shit! Oh shit!
I'm a
gold
farmer, motherfucker!
What the fuck was that? What the fuck?